Hi, welcome to the F1 Time Portal, a Formula One history podcast started by two engrossing Formula One fans. I'm your host, Rosa.
And I'm your Life in the Fast Lane host, Luigi. And today we're taking you back to the 1976 season, part 6. So let's go.
Part 6, Louis, and we're not even, we're only half, maybe we're 2/3 of the way through.
Two-thirds. But that's why Life in the Fast Lane, because James Hunt needs to go fast now.
Yes, he does.
If he wants to catch Lauda, it's time to get in the fast lane.
Yes.
And surely you know who sang that song.
Oh.
You know the song, right?
Once you say, yes, I do know the song. Once you say it, I'll know them, but I don't.
Can I name another song they sang that might lead you to them?
Okay.
Hotel California.
Oh, yes, I do know that band.
Yeah. That band.
The Eagles.
Yes, very good.
Eagles, yes.
Oh wow! So it took a song as big as Hotel California,
yes,
which was also released in '76. It was released in December. Hotel California was released in December 1976.
Right.
So it just made the year.
You could have used that for the Californian Grand Prix, Luigi.
I know.
Yeah.
You know,
bit too obvious. Yeah.
No. It was just that I discovered that it was released at that time after. That's the truth of the matter, right?
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So we've just been through a pretty heavy couple of races. The very controversial British Grand Prix and the very glad to say Lauda survived German Grand Prix.
Yeah. We give it a bit of a wrap up. So just start Austrian and we'll give it a bit of a wrap up. Otherwise, we'll be repeating ourselves. I think if anyone listened to last episode, you would notice that Luigi needed a coffee and a little pep up. So hopefully
I'm back.
hopefully Luigi's back. Yes.
Yes. So race 11 of 16, the Austrian Grand Prix, which was sadly Lauda's home race. So it was at the Österreich Ring, 15th of August, 54 laps, and the weather was warm and mainly dry.
So as you were saying, Luigi, we've had Lauda's accident 2 weeks before this, and so Ferrari refused to participate in this race. A bit of a combination of that accident to Lauda, plus being very upset that Hunt won the Spanish Grand Prix in an illegal car, plus Hunt being declared the winner of the British Grand Prix in a race he should not have been allowed to restart. So as a result of all of that, Enzo Ferrari stated that he was withdrawing his team for the rest of the season. That's big. That's a big boss move.
I know. So we just had two big races and we start with another big boss move now.
Yes, exactly.
Typical Ferrari. I mean, Lauda's absence was obviously bad news for the race organisers, but they'd be missing hordes of Ferrari fans and the Regazzoni fans from the adjoining Switzerland. But is this crazy for Ferrari to have done this?
Oh, look, to me, it seems a little bit of a over-the-top reaction, but it's very Enzo Ferrari, and he would have wanted to show some support for his team and for, in his mind, I know, last episode you were saying, think about it from Hunt's point of view. He had won the race on the track. From Ferrari's point of view, there were two dodgy decisions currently for McLaren to be that close to Lauda in the championship. So, yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know.
But
I'm always going to side with Ferrari.
I know, but wouldn't you think if their primary objective is to support their drivers to win the championship, the best way is to stop your opponent from scoring the big points?
Yeah. I mean, Lauda at this point in time is not well enough to race, though. And
I know, but they've got Regazzoni. They just have to recruit another good driver. Even someone that's half as good as Regazzoni would probably become fourth or something.
Yes, I know.
And maybe they can get ahead of the McLaren, get ahead of the even Schumacher was still in the running technically.
No.
I don't know. I just find it. I get he's playing the big political game to try to overturn the decisions.
It's very Enzo Ferrari. But can you imagine the race organisers here, Luigi? Like,
Yeah. The
they're
poor
thinking,
yeah.
yeah, the Austrian Grand Prix, like Lauda's not there, home hero, Ferrari's gone, Regazzoni gone, all
Yeah.
within the last 2 weeks of organising for this event. So
Poor,
the
poor
whole event's
Austria.
taken,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
I
right.
had to feel sorry for them.
Yes. Yeah.
And the track itself was slightly modified for safety reasons, and it was felt that getting close to Lauda's 75 pole time would be a challenge. And it was immediately clear that Hunt was on form, as not only had he done pre-race testing at this track just prior to the race, he was still in a purple patch
Mm,
himself.
mm. And without Lauda and Ferrari, who was going to challenge him? So Hunt easily secured pole with 1 minute 35.02 seconds, nearly a full second ahead of Watson in the Penske. Watson in the Penske, Luigi. What
We
the
haven't
hell?
seen a big gap
What?
like that all year until
No,
now.
exactly. Like,
Yeah.
where are the Tyrrells even? Like, anyway, so yeah, he set a time of 1 minute 35.84.
Yeah. So in the final qualifying was essentially Hunt first, Watson second, as you said. Peterson was third in that March. Then Nielsen in the Lotus, trying to criticize us for calling him lower than Peterson. So he's right next to
Yeah.
Peterson on the grid. Lafitte in the Ligier and Price.
Yeah, very mixed up grid and 6 different teams. Like, not only different teams from each other, but totally different teams to what we've seen at this grid places so far. So interesting race coming up, I think.
Yeah.
So while Saturday afternoon practice was rained out, there was some concern if the race day would be rainy. Sunday morning was sunny, but it started to rain lightly just before the race.
So the race organisers were quite indecisive because of these conditions. And each time they sent out a race car to check, I think not a race car,
Like a
organiser's car or whatever it is.
car. Yeah.
Yeah, there was uncertainty, and some parts of the circuit were quite wet, others were relatively dry. Pretty surprising for what is, I think, a sort of short track. It was ultimately decided to declare the race dry, and that if it did rain, they would stop the race and allow the cars to be fitted with wet weather tyres.
That is, I mean, good that
I
there's
don't
a
like that.
decision, but silly to say that they were going to stop the race if it rains. That they've gone from one extreme to another.
Yeah, suddenly. They don't stop the race for anything.
No.
And suddenly, a bit of rain, let's stop it.
Yeah, we're going to stop the race. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because really none of the mayhem that's occurred this season's happened because of the wet.
No, it's been other things primarily.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So to the race start as the Austrian flag fell. So we're back to that starting style instead of the lights. So it's a nice bit of inconsistency, but that's okay. Variety for each country's culture. Hunt and Watson roared off the line together with Peterson, Nielsen and Lafitte slotting in behind them. In fact, Peterson and Nielsen, Lafitte and Price became 4 abreast on their way up the hill to the first corner. So that's very exciting. 4 abreast.
Yeah, so to the very front, Watson, unflustered, stood his ground against Hunt and snatched the lead at the first corner. With the gaggle of 4, it was Peterson who won that battle and also managed to get past Hunt in second.
Not a good start for Hunt, is it? So we have Watson in the Penske holding on to his narrow lead ahead of Peterson in the March, then Hunt, Nielsen, Lafitte, Price and the rest. So those guys aren't changing much, but they're obviously nose to tail. As the race progressed, the spray behind the cars was becoming more noticeable and the race organisers were on the verge of stopping the race.
Yeah, see? They've just gone, I'm going to say it again, they've gone from one extreme to another. I mean, are they trying to manipulate the championship here, do you think? Because Watson is a nobody? I don't know. First it was Mas and they kind of stopped the race for Mas when Mas was leading and he had his dry tyres on, and now it's Watson. Anyway, it seems very strange. The rain passed, luckily, so the race continued. And according to Mike Lang, it was great that they didn't because positions were changing almost continuously right through the field.
So it sounds like it was exciting because of these conditions that were quite challenging. And to your question, yes. Are they trying to manipulate the championship?
Yeah.
Well, it is the Austrian Grand Prix. They know their leading driver is in hospital. I don't know.
Yeah.
You never know. I think there's an underlying, there must, who knows? Who knows?
Yes.
Anyway, Ferrari isn't even in the race, as we know. And we are getting a very dynamic race here. So it shows that because Ferrari would normally just dominate, rush off into the lead and race over.
It's true.
At the
Not that
start
there's
of lap...
anything wrong with that, Luigi.
No. At the start of lap 5, Peterson finally managed to outdo Watson on the uphill run past the pits. And Peterson was through into the lead in that March. Remember, he started the year in Lotus, you know?
Yes.
But it was not in any way settled, as the leading group of cars were still very tight and with one another.
Even Scheckter was having a charge from 10th. He navigated his way through the leading group, and by lap 10, even Scheckter had a go in the lead, having nosed ahead of Peterson.
But Peterson was having none of it, and when Scheckter ran slightly wide, and then as they came up to lap Jaria's shadow, that's a disappointment to hear,
Yes.
Peterson regained the lead, and Scheckter found himself back down in 3rd behind Watson, and Nielsen was in 4th.
Well, Scheckter got himself up there once. Probably, can he do it again? And Peterson also had that aggressive edge to him as well. So this is going to be interesting last few laps.
The rest of the race. Well, the wonder I have is there's a lot of drivers here that are driving for pride here. Not many are driving for the championship.
No.
So,
not
yeah.
at all.
And Peterson's one of those pride drivers, as well as Watson. So with the track rapidly drying, Watson felt that it was his turn to take the lead, and he started to draw away, albeit by only a tiny margin. Behind him in nose-to-tail formation were the same sort of group of people we've been talking about. Peterson in 3rd, then Nielsen, Scheckter, Hunt, Lafitte and Mass.
Like all of these cars are different marks, including that 6-wheeled Tyrrell. There are the 2 McLarens of Hunt and Muss. So, yeah, very exciting and balanced, poised. So it was still virtually anybody's race at this point, except Scheckter had a car problem and his car suddenly turned sharply right into the barriers and then bounced back into the track. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's a bit scary. Schecter's car scattered mud and water all over the track, some of which found its way into the extremely closely following cars of Hunt and Lafitte, who had to take very hectic last-minute actions to avoid colliding with the Tyrrell.
That's really super fast reactions. Very lucky, and I'm surprised that they avoided being taken out of the race.
So we're up to lap 19 out of 54 races, 54 laps. And Watson had now stretched his lead to 5 seconds, so starting to create a bit of comfort there. Nielsen in his Lotus was in 2nd, having pulled clear of Peterson in the March.
Peterson, though, was having some brake issues and he was having to regularly pump his brakes. At half distance, Watson's lead had grown to 7 seconds from Nielsen and 12 seconds ahead of Peterson. Peterson was doing all he could to keep Lafitte behind him.
And Peterson and Lafitte were having a superb wheel-to-wheel duel, with Lafitte passing Peterson while lapping back markers. Peterson was unimpressed, and he immediately fought back in a breathtaking manoeuvre.
Yeah, Peterson does seem to be this sort of driver, very exciting, very much like future drivers, like Gilles Villeneuve. Interesting we mentioned Gilles, but anyway, many people do refer to Peterson in a very passionate way. Like he got 9 pole positions in 1973 and it was in the 3rd best car that year too. So yes, very aggressive and determined driver.
Yeah, he's a really good driver. A lot of people really look up to him as a driver that didn't achieve what his talent had. He was unlucky. He was quite unlucky. But he got wins, unlike some other drivers like Eamon. To this race, Peterson's battle was not to last. He eventually Lafitte secured his position and even Hunt got past as well. But this did little to settle the position as Peterson stayed right on Hunt's tail. At this stage, Hunt was nursing a damaged car because his left front nose was slightly put out from an earlier racing incident. So not good for the championship chaser.
No, as you said, he really had to. What was the title of the song? He really had to.
Life in the fast lane. He needed to get into the fast lane now.
Not so fast at this point. As the race progressed, Lafitte's charge was still on. So while Watson's lead had grown to 15 seconds, Lafitte's Ligier was appearing even larger in Nielsen's rearview mirror. And then finally on lap 43 out of 54, the 2 cars went past the pits side by side. That always happens past the pits, Louis, I guess because it's a straight.
It's normally a straight, yeah.
Yeah, it's because it's a straight. Yeah, but also they're kind of showing off for their teams, I guess.
Yeah, they're showing off for future teams.
Yeah.
or to retain their drive, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Wilson withstood the challenge for 2 laps until Lafitte eventually went through into second place. That's pretty good for 2 laps.
Yeah. So while Watson reeled off the remaining laps to claim his first ever F1 win and that of Penske, second place was far from sorted as Lafitte, Nielsen and Hunt were never more than 1 second apart.
So Nielsen really showing pace and fighting spirit here. Like, these 2 drivers aren't any slouches either, are they? Nielsen is really showing some pace and fighting spirit here. These 2 drivers are no slouches. Yeah, now there's a big gap to you.
Yeah. So despite this closeness though, Lafitte did manage to hold on to second place and these 3 drivers finished within 2 seconds of one another.
This is a huge result in the championship. Hunt, no doubt, wanted more than 4th in a race where there's no Lauda. He got pole by a huge margin here. I think this was a big missed opportunity from Hunt, all down to that bad start.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say a bad start, but just not as good as his usual good start is a fair thing to say because he was up there, but he couldn't. Maybe he was being a bit more cautious in his racing with those other drivers.
Maybe. Not a good time to be cautious.
No, because to be in the fast lane,
yes,
you got to go fast.
That's right. You got to take chances. So on the cooling down lap, 3rd place Nielsen's engine blew up and he had to thumb a lift back to the pits on the back of Muss's McLaren. We see that a bit. I remember that happening a bit in the 80s and 90s as well.
Yeah, that's
like
never allowed now.
No,
those
I know.
days are over.
Yeah.
So it was a great drive by Nielsen. He's not on the podium often, and of course his Lotus engine had to explode, and Hunt would have been annoyed to see that happen on the cooling down lap.
So interesting, Louis, just a bit of trivia. As of 2025, this race remains the last World Championship race that Ferrari did not enter. And the last time that an American licensed constructor won a Formula One race.
That's phenomenal.
That's not so surprising because there hasn't been that many. Yeah, the second one hasn't been. The first one's surprising. And it would also be the last occasion up until now that a female driver would not qualify for but also finish a Grand Prix, with Leila Lombardi qualifying 24th and finishing 4 laps down in 12th place in a Ram Racing entered Brabham.
Fascinating. Interesting records for this one race. Yeah, and a lot of that relating to this day, as in August 2025.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to read out the points table. Remember, Hunt is still in this as having won the British Grand Prix.
Okay.
So Lauda is on 58 and Hunt is on 47 and Scheckter is on 34. On the constructors' side, we've got Ferrari on 61, McLaren on 52 and Tyrrell on 47.
Okay. Ready for the next race, the Dutch Grand Prix, race 12. Zandvoort, August 29, 75 laps, and the weather is warm and dry.
So we'll start this race with some Lauda news. It was taking place about 4 weeks after Lauda's accident, and news was that he had left the hospital and was recovering at home.
So Ferrari made a big threat. Did they return after their threat to leave for the rest of the season?
Yes, they turned up, but were only with just Regazzoni. I'm not sure why they didn't arrive with an extra driver.
It's a miss. It's a big miss. Yeah. And they've got one of the best cars on the grid.
I know.
Yeah, I think that's.
I agree.
They wouldn't have struggled. They wouldn't have struggled to fill the seat.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
They just needed 2 cars to make sure Hunt finished down the points table. But anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So
in other car news is that McLaren had the new M26 for Muss to use. Shadow had a new car, the DN8. And finally, Mike Lang took another stab at Brambilla's reputation. We've left some of that out of the script, but he was not happy with Brambilla. Yeah. The March team had been obliged to put together yet another new car for Brambilla.
The term "yet another" was probably not necessary. Yeah. So his anti-driver he is anti all drivers who damage cars. But Mike Lang does have a point. You don't hear about drivers sort of repeatedly damaging their cars in the 50s and 60s. But it started to sort of happen in the second half of the 70s because safety is sort of improving. That's my personal theory anyway. So this is the beginning of drivers starting to maybe change the way they drive because safety means they can get away with it a little bit more.
So there were a few new drivers joining the grid to qualify for this race and some returning drivers, including Larry Perkins. But of most interest was that Jackie Ickx was back, this time with the Ensign team.
That's why I slipped up earlier. Remember when I said Ickx in the Ensign?
Yes.
He's going there, but when was that? It wasn't this year. It was this year.
Yeah.
But why didn't Ferrari take him? Why?
He did walk out of Ferrari though. Like maybe they didn't. Yeah, I don't know. But you're right. He was a safe pair of hands for them.
Yeah. I mean, yes, okay. 73 was 3 years ago.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
I just think that was a...
Enzo doesn't forgive and forget, does he?
No.
Yeah. Anyway, but a miss. I think it's a miss. I agree.
A big miss because he would have slotted in easier than almost any other driver. It would have been tough for any driver to go to a new car, of course, but this would have been easy for him or easier. So to qualifying, the first day was interrupted by poor weather, but Watson, the hero of Austria, was on form still and along with Hunt. However, it wasn't the second day when the drivers with limited time really stepped things up.
Yep, 6 different marks in the top 6. What a great start again.
Yeah.
This is very much era of the 1970s. In the end, Peterson just snatched pole. Peterson by 0.08 of a second from Hunt. Price was thrilled with third in his new Shadow, and Watson in the Penske ended up in fourth. Regazzoni in the Ferrari was a little off, and his best time was only good enough for fifth, ahead of Andretti in sixth in the Lotus.
I've just had a brainwave.
What?
I know why Ferrari didn't put another driver in. Or Detto, if there's no other Ferrari driver, only Regazzoni can win. That's so...
That's
surely it's not
short-sighted.
that. Surely it's not that. That can't be the reason, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's a little bit of that in there. Anyway, still pretty cool to have that mixed up grid, And that probably makes it easier for Hunt too, because it's like drivers that are not normally up there and
that's right.
Maybe not familiar or comfortable with the pressure of being in the leading pack. So there was some controversy with the afternoon Saturday session, which is normally the final practice session, but in fact they switched it because of weather concerns.
Yes, it was discovered that Ferrari had been using a different kind of tyre versus the official tyre supplied by Goodyear. This brought about quite lengthy discussions, but as the Italian team had done nothing illegal, the issue was dropped.
When you first said using a different kind of tyre versus the official tyre of Goodyear, I wanted to go, uh-oh, but you were too quick.
I was too quick. Yeah. Well,
big uh-oh.
Yes, because Mike Lang said even if it was perhaps cheating.
He is so pro Hunt.
I know. But is this cheating, Louis? I mean, they would have been given those tyres by Goodyear, I'm assuming.
I don't know. It's hard. What did you find out? Did you find out, were Goodyear doing tyre development on the side with Ferrari and therefore had these special better ones that they sort of set aside for them versus the other teams? I don't know enough about it.
I couldn't find anything too detailed about it. It's just in Mike Lang's book.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how does a team go and get other tyres? They would go to Goodyear, wouldn't they?
Well, we know that even prior to this, when there were multiple tyre, I think this is a Goodyear only season.
Yes, it is.
I think in previous years when there has been other tyre manufacturers, there have been preferred tyres.
Yes.
Preferred teams, and they got the better tyres and this and that. So
yes,
there's a history of that.
Yeah.
And this reeks of that perhaps.
Maybe. I don't know if you could call it cheating though. That's a bit rich.
Yeah, maybe. It's hard to say. We don't know enough, do we? But Mike Lang certainly felt it was cheating.
Yes.
So
Well,
what's our
yes.
position? I mean, this might
I'm gonna
offset the fact that Ferrari compromised themselves with one driver anyway. So
This is true.
does it
I'm going to
matter?
say it wasn't cheat. I'm going to say it's not cheating.
Yeah, I'm saying it's commercial team
Yeah.
mark business.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
normal. Some teams get better tires because they're a team of history and success.
Bigger
And,
team. Yep.
yeah. And this is not coming from okay, for you, you're coming from a Ferrari perspective.
Yes.
I'm not coming from a Ferrari perspective, but I would like to think that McLaren also had the same opportunity, but it seems like they did not.
Maybe. Yeah.
That's where I question it a little bit. But anyway, we've seen enough dubious things go McLaren's way this year as well.
I know. Exactly.
Yeah. So to race day, there was a new starting procedure and it included 2 warm-up laps. Then as soon as the car assembled on the grid, the starting signal was given immediately.
What? Did the drivers know this? That last car didn't even need to line up. They could do a rolling start.
Yeah. I don't know how that all landed. We only focus on the front, but I think you're right. Anyway,
Yeah.
Peterson streaked away from pole into the lead. Hunt had wheel spin, which enabled Watson to move right alongside him, and they were side by side heading into the hairpin, but Watson held tight to take second place.
I wonder if Hunt had one eye on the championship in this race. Remember, Watson did this to him in the last race as well. So
Yeah.
I think, well, he just probably played it safe in that moment again.
I think so.
Yeah. So while Peterson was building a slight lead at the end of the first lap, by the third lap, Peterson was encountering some understeer issues, which enabled Watson to close right up on the leading march.
So Watson was really pushing Peterson hard. And on lap 6, Watson tried the same move on Peterson that he did successfully to Hunt on the starting line, but the door was closed. Then on lap 8, Watson tried again, and this time he tried so hard that he ran wide, which enabled Hunt to slot into second place, which is pretty exciting racing to watch.
Yes, it is exciting, and it shows that what Lauda being absent offers. It allows other drivers to be up there and battling for big places. Everyone else, it seemed, were pretty evenly matched. Further back, there was a lot of racing going on as Regazzoni had managed to get past Price and was now sitting in 4th place.
With those special tyres.
Yes.
While there were some classic battles further back, Hunt was now making a challenge for the lead, and by lap 12, he passed Peterson to become the new race leader. Not only this, but the very next lap, Watson then relegated Peterson down to 3rd, and Peterson was now really just starting to go off the pace, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that understeer issue was becoming a bigger problem. Well, now Hunt was starting to suffer from some understeer issues. I think that this race must have a special understeer for the leading issue, Luigi. So Watson was now right on Hunt's tail, and Regazzoni, now in 3rd, having passed Peterson, was only a couple of seconds further back.
On lap 23, Hunt had a problem because one of his front brake ducts came adrift.
Oh, okay. I'm going to guess that's not good news. I know you're dying to look it up, Louis, and dazzle us with your tech knowledge, but we're moving on. So as Hunt held onto the racing line, it forced Watson to run slightly wide, and as a result, he had to fall back in behind Hunt. This is great wheel-to-wheel racing, Louis.
Awesome.
I've left in one of your comments. We don't see much of this in the 2020s. It's mostly run the other car off the track without naming specific 2020s drivers. See,
and those of you that know Formula One know who I'm talking about. I don't need to name them.
No, we're not going to. We will lose listeners.
Yeah. So the awesome thing is that Hunt and Watson continued to battle in this awesome way for the next 30 minutes. Can you imagine a wheel-to-wheel battle going for 30 minutes today? Doesn't happen. No. Watson made repeated attempts at the hairpin and elsewhere, especially while lapping tail enders. On every occasion, Hunt rebuffed each challenge. And remember, he's got that brake duct issue.
Yeah. I mean, this is good. It's not even Monza and they've got this going on. Yeah.
So until lap 47, and remember this is a 75-lap race, a bearing in the Penske gearbox broke, and that was it. The entertainment was maybe over. Watson pulled up on the track.
No. That's a shame. I'm sure the Ferrari team loved watching Hunt being put under repeated pressure, and the
Yeah.
fans at the track would have loved it too. Well, with Watson out, this meant that Hunt could finally relax as he now had a 6-second lead over Regazzoni.
So while things had settled at the front, there were still some exciting battles for points. As Peterson was still going, he was battling Andretti, and further back, Price in the shadow was having a big tussle with Scheckter. Even Ickx was having a great time at the Ensign, should have been Ferrari, and he was in 6th place, closing in on 5th place, which shows that Ickx has got the bit between his teeth, doesn't he?
Yes.
And a new team, a new car.
Yes. With 10 laps to go, Andretti, now in 3rd place as Peterson had retired, was starting to close the gap on Regazzoni. And at the same time, Hunt's lead had dropped down to 4 seconds. So the race for the lead is back on.
Yeah, 5 laps to go. The intensity ramped up because Regazzoni, in his attempts to keep Andretti at bay, had closed the gap to Hunt, and it was now less than 2 seconds. The battle raged right to the last lap, with drivers using every trick in the book to gain benefit. Hunt, in particular, with only 1 second in hand over Regazzoni, cleverly lapped Jones in the Surtees just before the hairpin, which gave him some breathing space as both Regazzoni and Andretti were briefly held up by the back marker.
Yeah, that's smart. That's very smart. So in the end, Hunt would go on to win by 0.92 of a second, so nearly a full second, while Regazzoni held off Andretti by just over 1 second. Price finished 4th, followed by Scheckter and Brambilla. Right.
Hey, pretty exciting race.
So the British Grand Prix is still under appeal. So we still have James Hunt's win in here. So Lauda's on 58, Hunt's on 56. Jody Scheckter is on 36. And in the constructors, Ferrari is on 67, McLaren is on 61, and Tyrrell is on 49. So Hunt fans are thinking he's got it. Yep.
Lauda's nowhere to be seen.
Nowhere to be seen.
Other than he's out of hospital, which is good. But stay home and recover, they say.
They say, yes. And remember, Ferrari took the British Grand Prix to the Court of Appeal. So they're thinking, well, nothing's going to come out of that process. So, yes, pretty exciting. All right. Well, we're going to take a break again. Do you reckon we might finish this
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I've got a feeling. I've got a feeling. More to go.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, we'll come back for Monza next episode. Okay.
See you all next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.